Hey guys, welcome. We want to welcome you to this special edition of our podcast as we take a look at. Do we call this a forgotten album or from New Edition, One Love, or how would we describe this album?
That's a very good question. I don't even know. I feel like there's definitely a lot of feelings behind it. But yeah, maybe forgotten or maybe just downplayed or we just kind of forget about that one. But I have a lot to say, and I think like this show it just brought back a flood of memories and feelings that I'm looking forward to sharing and exploring with you guys on this album.
Okay. Well, we're waiting for Miss J to join us, but we'll be. Steve, how have you doing, sir?
Just given the current week we've had, glad to be alive.
Yeah. Do you want to highlight what's been going on?
We've had for soul music, the losses we've had. We've just had a terrible one as we're airing tonight, going on broadcast. Stunned. I don't know what to say. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. So sadly, we just found out within the last couple of hours that R&B soul singer, songwriter, and hip hop pioneer Angie Stone sadly died in a car accident. And she was the only one who passed away in the car. So there was 9 people in the van, and she's the only one that sadly died. It is, and she was, you know, making a comeback back into going on tour and things. She was started promoting some projects on YouTube, sorry, on Instagram. Like she had her own sauce and other things, but to die in a car accident after all that she's gone through is really, really sad.
Tragic. Absolutely tragic.
I mean, she was just 63, so I think we had Roberta Flack, but she had a stroke for a while, and she was. I even tried to interview her without realizing, and her people got back to me and says, she's not really responsive to talking much, and so it wouldn't be possible. This was about a year and a half ago. But yeah, so it is horrible, Joseph. Yeah, and we just lost Angie Stone. I mean, she was really. I mean, think about the sequence of a first hip hop female group, and then really started it. Then she was with
Vertical Hold.
Vertical Hold.
I seems much too busy. I'm getting chills just thinking about that song.
Too busy
for me. I mean, she's really had so many different eras. She had a lot of background vocals for hits that you probably don't even realize. I think Keep Your Heads Ringing, I think she's on there. I think with Dr. Dre. I mean, but just to have touched so many eras, and also even, of course, gotten with D'Angelo, and I'm sure her influence probably helped him musically.
Yeah.
Not to just jump in there, but I just, when someone had mentioned Vertical Hold, and I think it's easy for some people to forget, but no, I think to go from Funky Right On Up to Vertical Hold, those are two different eras. And that's still not even getting to like her solo stuff in the zeros. So,
It happened, like you say, in a career of success happened pretty late on. Like you say, she'd been with Sequence and Vertical Hold, and then the early 2000s hit, same time as the album we're reviewing now, and things started really, Arista really promoted her, especially that first album, the Black Diamond album, and things took off for her. You just mentioned Roberta Flack there. Last week when I came off air at the studio last Saturday when I was doing my show, I found out that I've got to mention Gwen McRae. If you're from the UK and you've been frequenting soul clubs in the 80s and the 90s, you very much know that a Gwen McRae record being played in a club, it's a big thing. It's a big occasion. People hit the walls, hit the tables. It fills a Gwen McRae record, All This Love That I'm Giving, fills the dance floor. 90% of you, when it's played in like a rare groove soul club, people bang the tables to hear it again. Big love to soul music. Chris Jasper of the Isleys, again, passed away this week.
Wow.
Incredible voice, incredible songwriter, incredible talent. So, yeah.
Going back to Roberta Flack, though, also, I read somewhere that she won back-to-back Grammys. I want to say, I think, for Record of the Year or Song of the Year. The first year was the First Time Ever I Saw Your Face. The second one was, of course, Killing Me Softly. And That's huge, number one. And then number two, even that the first time ever I saw your face, like that song is a bookend to one of my favorite, this is random, but one of my favorite sci-fi movies of all time, X-Men Days of Future Past. You hear it when Logan wakes up in 1973, then you hear it again when he wakes up in the future. And it's just a beautiful usage of a song, you know. So I just had to put that out there for those who might not have known.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's almost like they always say when you know when these famous people pass, it's almost like a bus. They come one after the other. So it's, and then sadly, Gene Hackman, even though he's not into music, but
Yeah.
just passing. But anyway, so we do want to shout out to Andy Stone. I would say, strangely enough,
You spoke to her. You got one of the last few interviews she did was with you, Nnamdi. So you got some time with her.
Yes, it probably. So what happened when I interviewed her the first time? I mean, it's almost as if she was sleeping and someone woke her up and says, "Yeah, you've got an interview," and she got her phone and was just talking to me as walking around, laying on her bed, and just and I was like, I knew
Wow.
this wasn't going to end well. She was just laying down on her bed and just talking and chilling, and so I was flustered about the fact that it did seem that she was focused, and so we had to so we did about 40 minutes, and then we had to reschedule, and it's for when she was like she could set herself up, but yeah. But yeah, she had her stories, and I think the one thing that I always take from that interview was the fact that her relationship with D'Angelo ended because people thought that what was he doing with her, and they thought that she trapped him, not realizing that actually he was chasing her and he loved her, but all that press around that really had a strain on their relationship, and it really took somebody people who were madly in love and someone she nurtured, and that was the one thing I always remember from that. Yes, but anyway, definitely, yeah. So I'm glad you guys are joining, and as we wanted to take the beginning of this to shout to remember Andy Stone and Roberta Flack, but we do want to try and see if we can celebrate New Edition, but more importantly, their One Love album. Stevie, how would you describe this album?
I'm just looking back at the time. You know what? There's so much I want to say tonight. I want to go on a few rants, but I can't because it's not New Edition related. I've just got. I can't not mention Donald Trump. What I saw like yesterday.
Oh God.
Sorry, Nnamdi, but I just can't. I'm like blown away, just like dumbfounded what I saw. I mean, it's potentially life changing for us all because if it goes the way I think it's going to go, Nnamdi, I don't think we're going to be doing a podcast in a year's time. I think we've got a Dad's Army. We'll be on the front line on holding up Dad's Army for this country, mate. I'm telling you. But
Yeah.
there's a lot of stuff. There's stuff but I can't because not that I'll be cancelled. It just wouldn't be fair. But anyway, let's get back to
yeah. I mean, as I said, there is a lot of madness around the world, and I think one of the things that we can highlight the fact is there's a lot of mad stuff happening. People passing and stuff, and we want to be able to use as much as we can to try and focus and celebrate some of the good stuff, and because if you do, it was shocking.
Unprecedented.
It is unprecedented and very disturbing.
No
Yeah, and very disturbing. But there's still going to be a lot of people who will thought, "Well done, you stood up." But I think, it's really hard to gauge. But we'll try and really try and bring some positivity as we celebrate music, as we celebrate our legendary group, New Edition, which I saw a stat that says they're the only group that each album by that all members of the group have released a platinum album. Well, you know, Ricky and Ronnie and Micah in BBD and the rest, but it just shows you their strength. But Stevie, with this album, you kind of didn't. It's good to come back to you.
I'm going back to the time period, the early 2000s.
Yeah.
To me, between like 1999, 2002, 2003, the hip hop and R&B scene was absolutely booming. It was the record companies were pumping stuff out, they were promoting the stuff. There was club nights on everywhere. That fusion was just, it was huge. And then obviously it led old P Diddy to resurrect the Bad Boy label. This was what was going on. You know, he pumped a load of money. Before he signed New Edition, he'd signed Cassie. He got Young Jock out there. He did an MTV Making the Band documentary, signed Day 26. Danity Kane was signed to the label. You know, so it was all going on. I mean, the Cassie thing blew up on the back of that single, Me and You. That was
so. I want to jump in here for a second. So the reason why this album hit me really hard, Stevie, remember this was really around the time NJS Free was actually coming into being. So
what I'm about to say is that when this album dropped, the R&B thing and it had peaked. It was just 2004 read into 2. It had missed the curve for me, but you can carry on now.
Yeah, no, exactly. Because I mean, really, a key person who was involved with this album, who was making noise, was Ryan Leslie. So in 2002, you had like Loon, right? And he was part of that whole Bad Boy thing. Because I Need a Girl just come out, I think, 2001, I think, or maybe it was 2002. So We Invented the Remix came out. That was the Diddy album. Ryan Leslie was one of the producers. And then I remember seeing New Edition on tour, the 5 of them, just all in black. You know, Ralph still had like dreads. He had hair back then. And like New Edition was just trying to just get back together. Puffy was in the audience on that tour and basically said, I want to sign you guys. That's how it all started. 2003, we started hearing leaks of singles, like Start Turning Me On. We started hearing, and we're going to get into this, but there were so many like unreleased singles that were just way better than the album. Like Got It Like That was the second one. Then, you know, and then Hot Tonight came out, but it was a Ryan Leslie version before I heard the New Edition version. So then finally, even on the album, Ricky says 2003 on there.
Yeah.
The album was late, came out in 2004, finally. And again, during those years, NGS Free, Angel Fire Site, 2003, the Forum shoot, really like 2000, the Forum started 2004, but the website was around 2003. And you know, so it was all coming together and we were all super excited, but then, you know, it was kind of underwhelming. And I will say this as a last piece of my rant. I saw them in 2004. Yeah, 2004 in Chicago. They performed at a thing called Taste of Chicago. No, it was 2005. It was 2005. Taste of Chicago, 2005. No, I keep going back. 2004. And they did Hot Tonight because the album dropped after the single. So 2004, they do their set. And then after they do the set, they do Hot Tonight. And this I'll never forget. People were walking out of the venue as they performed Hot Tonight. It was like, we care about like your old stuff, but now they're like, all right, here's the new stuff. Girl, give me your number. And people just started walking out. And it hurt my heart because you guys know how much I love New Edition. So that was just like, man, it was terrible. And that did not bode well for the album. And I think, yeah, that's my story on that one. So I could say so much more, but I'm going to intertwine NJS Free with this because it was all happening at the same time.
Yeah, I think it was definitely, I mean, when you listen to Hot Tonight, you can hear Ryan Leslie. You could hear that was him. You could hear him singing the song. So you can feel as if, so it's interesting you said it, there was a version with him on it, because I was listening to it today, you know, going through it, preparing for tonight. And I said, you know what, actually, I don't hear these guys singing. I hear Ryan Leslie.
So Nnamdi, I gotta say something. Chills. You just helped me. The single version and the album version, the single version and the video version of that track is New Edition on the background. You know, girl, give me your number, right? But the album version, you hear Ryan Leslie on top of them. And it's annoying, and I cannot stand the album version of Hot Tonight precisely for that reason. Now, I'm going to send you an MP3 of the Ryan Leslie demo. You'll like it. But I just feel like it was almost Puffy in a way saying F you to them by throwing his vocals on top of their vocals on the album version. It's disrespectful because it doesn't sound like New Edition, to your point.
Yeah. It's and I think the other thing about about Ryan Leslie, I think he was given that first single as a sort of a sweetener for discovering Cassie and allowing Puffy to sign her. I remember Cassie back when they had MySpace, and she was making videos. They were making I think it's Ryan Leslie was doing that. They were doing these little videos about her rehearsing, so things that we see now on Instagram and people doing back. She was doing that back in 2003 or so, and I can barely remember how MySpace was, but I was very impressed. So she was getting a following, and she was playing these songs, and it wasn't a surprise that she got discovered and the songs blew up. But they worked really hard on self promotion, and I think part of the business deal to get her signed was giving Ryan this deal. But sadly, for if we just think about Home Again, which we just had back in 1996, and the kind of care that was taking him to making that album, it just felt like 112. They had some songs but they didn't want, so let's just give it to these guys. It was. Yeah, we'll go through the songs, but it's a tough one.
We're mentioning Cassie there, and I gotta say this because guys have all experienced this when it comes to women, and I call them monkey tree.
Oh no!
Right?
Swing from right to right.
With Cassie, she's hanging out with Ryan Leslie. Ryan Leslie, she's in the studio. Probably Ryan Leslie's telling her all sorts of things. We're going to produce this album. We're going to get, I'll sign to whatever. And she thinks she's on her way to being a star. And this is what I mean by monkey tree brand. So Ryan Leslie does all this work for Cassie. P. Diddy hears it. I want some of that. But to get some of that, he's got to get hold of Ryan Leslie. He's got to sign Cassie. What does she do? She monkey tree branches from Ryan Leslie, who I do believe they were more than just platonic.
Oh yeah.
So she monkey tree branches from Ryan Leslie. I'm sorry, I know people are saying she's a victim in all this, but she knew what she was doing. She monkey tree branched from Ryan Leslie over to P. Diddy because his name was so much bigger. That label was so much bigger because there's a lot of women out there who are desperate for success, and they'll do what it takes. Like you say in this industry. They'll go the certain levels, and that was a perfect example of it. As a monkey tree branch. I'm sorry, but we've all met a woman like that. You think you've got that hot girl, she's on your arm, but someone bigger and better comes along, takes her away, and you're left. What happened? What just happened? And that's exactly what happened to Ryan Leslie.
Yeah, I mean, it is the industry, but
like you say, but by the way, I'll let you produce a few. New Edition tracks. I was about that then,
Yeah, but it was really sad for. It was definitely sad for New Edition. But anyway, if we start with,
you'll never be my friend after this show, but.
Were you guys able
to? If I'm wrong, somebody tell me I'm wrong.
No, I don't think you're wrong. I think
I'll hold my hands up and say, and I'll apologise. But this is why you tune into this podcast, because we don't hold back. The truth comes out sometimes.
Yeah, no, she was young, but I think at the end of the day, it's just natural selection. I mean, at the end of the day, Diddy, quote unquote, alpha'd Ryan. And Ryan definitely strikes me as a decent dude. And I think that Ryan was actually kind of, ostracized by the industry because of Diddy. Like Diddy was able to kind of block him off at any turn. And I've seen some interviews with him. I think it was Drink Champs. And I think he's doing good things now. He's more focused on finance and trying to financial education, that kind of thing. But yes, Ezekiel the Mac, the ladies always choose the a-hole with the money. I wouldn't say always, but I would say it's definitely.
Let me both ask you this about Ryan Leslie, right? Great producer. He can write a song. He's got his business. He's got superb business acumen, but is he an artist in his own right? Is he an artist?
I think that in a lot of ways,
the smartest thing he should have done was not be an artist. He should have got a better singer in, found a Johnny Gill or something from that early 2000 who had a distinctive voice and give all his songs and production to
No, that's what he did with Cassie.
I'm talking about him
for male stuff, kind of like the way Babyface worked with Bobby Brown to put out those songs, like "Don't Be Cruel."
Yeah, but that was Cassie though. That was me and you.
Ryan Leslie to me was never going to be a big artist. He should have give it to.
I think Ryan Leslie was Drake before Drake. I feel like Drake and Ryan came out around the same time, and they were mixing that whole singing and rapping thing. Because when you listen to early Drake, it's a lot like Ryan, and I think that they were both like kind of like light skin energy dudes coming out at the same time. And one of them blew up and the other one fell off. But I do think, and Drake, even when he first came out, he wasn't Mr. Swagalicious. He was still a little awkward. He grew into himself. And I think Ryan was never really that, like, maybe it looked like he was trying too hard in a way. He wasn't that like Mac Daddy, like, out there artist dude, but he was trying to be. And I'll kind of defend him. I liked what he was doing. And I just, but to your point, he had more juice when he was producing than when he was trying to be an artist. I will agree with that.
Yeah, but okay. I mean, and people might be tuning in thinking, why aren't we talking about
this? The night is young yet, only 20 minutes in.
Yeah, no, yeah. So I'm just trying to catch people up that the reason why we're talking about Ryan Leslie, because he was responsible for the first single, "Hot Tonight," which didn't do service to the in getting the group heard, which then had a impact on the album sales. And as Andrew testified, that people actually walked out when they performed. And if you saw the performance at the Apollo, it was almost as if people were like, okay, I felt sorry for Johnny Gill. It's almost as if he's having to stoop down and sing lyrics that doesn't really, suit him. If it was a BBD track, I think that would work for BBD because that's their angle. But it just, for Ralph and Johnny, it just didn't. It just felt, it felt like this was out of the league, and even the way they were dressed, baggy. If you can see how they're dressed with the baggy clothes and stuff like that. So. But anyway, let's start with it just remember when we talked about
nice cover. I don't mind the cover. I mean, what they were wearing,
I didn't like it.
And
even the logo. Sorry.
I like what they're wearing. I like the logo. It was a good cover. Well, overall, then your thoughts before we get into the top 10. Then there's a lot of filler on this album. There is a lot. I struggled with his top 10. There is a couple of outstanding moments. Don't get me wrong. There is a couple of outstanding, which we will get to them. There's some outstanding moments on it, but there's a hell of a lot of filler. And how many singles did they release from it? Was it 2 or 3?
It was just the one.
No, they released "Rewrite the Memories." I remember that being he's on single.
It didn't come out.
And they tried, at least in the US, they tried releasing Last Time, which is crazy to me, but they did. But there's only one video. But I actually, I think a big part, and we talked about this with the Aaron Hall album, a big part of the album cover has to do with what's inside the tin, if you will, like what is actually the music. The cover should reflect the music and the direction. And I think that the cover actually does match the direction of like most of the music on the album, and that's what fits. But was that the direction they should have gone? No, I don't think anyone thinks that. I personally, and I think about songs like KIT, If you guys know those songs, the Jammin'. Thank
about
you.
Knyte, I forgot about that.
KIT is like.
I sent you that. I've just. I'm sure.
I remember. I still have the CD with your writing on it from 2004, 2005. So I'm telling you, this is like personal for us. But KIT was a Jammin' Lewis track, and all 6 of them were on it, and it was perfection. And that was more of that home again classiness, but updated to like 2004 because it was like instant message me, whatever. It was very much like bringing that in. Anyway, all I'm saying is if the album had more of those cuts from Jammin' Lewis, which I think were probably rejected because they cost too much. I think Diddy was all about money at that point. He always has been.
That's a good point.
That's why the album became more of that 112-ish in-house cheaper stuff. And that's why the album cover matched. But I think had you had KIT, had you had, more of, even
they recorded songs with Jammin' Lewis. They had recorded just more than 2.
And they're great. The KIT song is actually it's in my opinion the best track from the whole sessions. I'm sending it to you, man. You're gonna be blown away.
But I mean, as an album in 2004, it was good for its time.
No,
it was good for its time. I don't think it's stood. Yeah, it hasn't stood the test of time. That's probably the point I'm getting to. There's a couple of tracks on it,
Yeah, but it was.
You got to see with R&B as well. The way R&B was going from 2003, 2004 onwards to what I call the Great Bailout in 2006, where all the major labels merged. They all merged. Yeah. There's about 3 major labels left, and a whole bunch of R&B and hip hop just got disintegrated, gone. And that scene just went. The whole R&B club thing. It just went into house. You had Usher doing house music.
Yeah, I say
missed the curve. I thought.
It is strange that because they could have, if they couldn't afford Jammin' Lewis, they could have gotten Tim and Bob, because they were doing some good stuff with Case and Joe and
Slow Down. What was his name?
Yeah, Bobby V.
Bobby V. Man, that album was amazing.
Yeah. So they should have gotten Tim and Bob. They could have, they did the stuff with I'm So Into You with Tamir. So they were doing their thing. At the time, hi Tara. They were doing their thing at the time, so they could have. They were cheaper than Jammin' Lewis. But man, Anyway, we go.
Where's anything from Miss J? She fell asleep on a Michael Jackson pillow tonight. Nnamdi, what's going on? You know what I think it's got. That promo you put out saying Sunday. I bet she thinks it's Sunday night.
No, because I put the reminder, and the reminder was for today. And updated with it was just but anyway, Sunny could have come up with stuff, but anyway, yes, top 10 then. So guys, we're gonna go for our top 10 songs on this album, and it'd be interesting to see if there were about 16 tracks released, so it'd be interesting if we're able to find 10 really good songs on there. So I don't mind starting. I started off. The first song I'm putting down there was.
He likes to start, Nnamdi. He always likes to start.
No, because I'm. You tell your stories, and then Andrew kind of comes in.
Yeah.
With his either singing or his stuff. Man, there's some songs. I mean, just when I can start off with The Conference Call. And when I heard that, I just thought that no, it's not in my top 10. But I just wanted to say because we may not cover that. But to me, when I'm listening to that, and Johnny's saying, "Yeah, it won't be long before we argue," I'm thinking, "Wow, goodness, what? He's taking it seriously."
Yes.
And it almost feels that when Mike says, "Yeah, I spoke to Diddy last night, and he's up for it," and I felt as if Mike was the one that says, "Guys, let's do this. It's where we've got a shot," and. It was very cheesy, and one of the things I hated was this. Yeah, bad boy. It felt like this was my stuff. Guess who I've signed? And it wasn't about the guys. And that conference call was, it just set the tone that this is not going to be about.
Interesting what you say about P Diddy in that little intro as well. It's very poignant what they say. If you go back and listen to it. Said, "Oh, we've heard about this P Diddy and what he's like." It's what they say in it. They say it in there.
I
Go
think
back and listen to. I'm telling you, I was like, I'm like, whoa, what did you just say in this intro?
All right, I gotta jump in again. All right, so to that, like, so that I literally was like, obviously I love New Edition, but in the '90s, man, Bad Boy, you couldn't tell me it wasn't Diddy. Like, I loved Bad Boy, everything about it. So the two favorite things coming together. Thank you, Tara. Exactly. I was like, this is going to be amazing. So when it wasn't amazing, and when I actually got wind of the animosity and bad treatment, that was when I actually stopped liking Diddy. You know, it was like, I was like, you know what? I liked you and I was rooting for you, but you messed with my boys. And now you're like, go over there. Like, you know, I'm still sort of rooting for you, but not on that level because, and Ralph even said, I think it was, a BET interview, he talked about how it really hurt him. He's like, I know we've been jerked before, but I just didn't think it would happen again. You know, from, you know, if you smell what I'm saying, from like your own people, you know, like for him, it really hurt Ralph. And I think Ralph is a sensitive one. So like for real, not just in music. Yeah. So I'm like, that's crazy. Like, so now that Diddy's going through what he's going through, it's all karma. Karma is so real. But man,
you liked everything about Bad Boy in the '90s.
No,
hold on, man. You know, I'm gonna put him to task here.
Okay.
You're telling me you like P Diddy's rapping.
Actually, I didn't mind it. I'm not trying to be ashamed of this podcast, but I didn't mind it. It was fine. It was. You're telling me it's any different than
interrupting every other artist's track.
It was everyone started copying him. He was the first one to do ad libs. Then it was Timbaland. Then it was Rodney Jerkins. Like, it was about branding and stamping. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But I don't want to get like sidetracked off of the New Edition thing. You know,
he did the same thing on this album. He appears in some.
No, but times have changed though. Times to change.
Times had changed.
When I was trying to work in the industry, I said I wanted to be P Diddy, Puff Daddy. He was, you forget about what we're hearing now. Go back to the mid '90s, you know, when he left Uptown, we all mourned. We thought, oh my goodness, it was big news, the fact that this intern guy had left Uptown before he came out with Bad Boy, with Biggie and Craig Mack, and then Faith and Total and all that stuff. I mean, he shook the industry, you know, the whole East Coast. I mean, so he was the centerpiece. And his raps were easy to listen to. You know, his flows were...
Again, he shouldn't have been allowed to rap. Just shouldn't have been allowed
to. I think he that kind of lazy, kind of just that kind of talk. I think he, you know, for the pop music, you know, his style, you know, all the stuff, even when he was singing with the Benjamins or I Need a Girl and all that stuff, that was... It was easy to listen to what he's saying because he wasn't a hip hop artist. He wasn't trying to be. So yeah, but you know, we definitely take that. Yeah. So we digress. Okay. So my first one was it was tough. I think the 10, 9, and 8 were tough for me.
Yeah.
10 and 9, but no, 10 and 9. So Wildest Dreams was probably the first thing that I could turn to. Mario Winers and
that bad for you?
Yeah, that was number 10 for me. I mean, you know, I've listened to this album probably 40 times in the last 2 weeks. So Wildest Dreams would be number 10 for me. What about you, Stevie?
I've got 2 tracks listed. I can't decide between them which I like the least, but they literally are fillers. The Last Time and Been So Long. I mean, Been So Long goes with the intro. You know, they do like a good like live introduction song on all the albums. This one's got like a Marvin Gaye feel to it. Wasn't a killer song though. I just think there was something lacking in it. Nice to listen to, and it's paired up with Last. I can't decide between Last Time and Been So Long. So number 10, it's either one of them tracks for me. I
just want to say,
could take or leave them 2 tracks.
DJ all day. I'll never forget seeing Suge Knight say that in the Source Awards. It was like, man,
he was spot on what he said.
No, it was spot on, but he was also hating, in my opinion. But we're not going to get into that. We might have another podcast about Bad Boy. I think that would be an amazing podcast. All right, so going to my number 10, and I already feel like if Jay was here, we're going to be all over the place. Like we're not going to be insane, on our list for sure. So my number 10 is "Feeling It," and that was a Ryan Leslie track, and Jack Knight had produced on it. And also inside baseball for you guys. I actually had a theme song for NJS Free to that music. And it was in my head. And if I had AI, I would have made it happen, but whatever. I like that song. And there's really not much more to it. I will say there was a lot of songs that did not make my top 10. And absolutely, Wildest Dreams did not make my top 10.
What?
Yeah, man. I thought that was I think that was my least favorite song on the album.
Oh my God.
So we're gonna have fun tonight.
I don't believe what I'm hearing.
Oh shit! Someone said Deo said it'd be his top 5. Yeah, we're gonna be all over the place. So let's get into it. It's all good. And I love how we can disagree, but it's not like we're not like mad at each other, right? So let's just have fun.
I thought you'd like that one night. I thought you'd be into that one.
Nope.
No, I mean, I just squeezed it in. I think it was just too much music, I mean, I'm listening to this as I'm listening to an audition and vocally and thinking how they need to respect their vocals and not be too much with the music. But anyway, I would go number 9 is probably the same producer, the same writer, Hot Tonight, and I think because it was it was played so much, and I think I like the production. I like how Ronnie DeVoe started it. But when I think I felt for Johnny when he's singing his part, it felt like trying to get Marvin Gaye to rap or something like that. It just didn't feel. Him singing the lyrics just didn't feel right. I think I think the BBD could have pulled it off easily, but I think it just didn't respect it. Johnny it was almost like a disrespect to get Johnny to sing like that. But anyway, it was played quite a bit, and I actually didn't mind the production and the vibe of it. So Hot Tonight is number 9 for me.
So Nnamdi, out of curiosity, where were you at that point? I know you straddled the US and
the
UK.
At this time, I just moved to the UK, and I did not realize that they'd released the album. So the last big stuff that I remember was Usher, when he
701. I know Confessions.
Yes, so that so that was around the time. I was working at Edmonds around that time. So Confessions. I think Alicia Keys was just coming out. It was onto her second album or so. So when this came out, I had no idea it was out until maybe a year later. So it didn't really blow up in the UK based on what I was watching and stuff. So so I actually didn't hear the whole album until probably a couple of years ago. So it took a while to read, because the songs, I didn't hear any of the songs or seeing in the videos. So yes, Stevie, what's your number 9?
Here's a question for you, because I did listen to a lot of Ronnie's raps on this album, and they just don't cut it for me. Just didn't cut. He's it's like he was. I know a lot of rappers like go in a booth and like they got a piece of paper or the lyric, and and it sounded at times like he was just like he's got his piece of paper there or his lyrics on, his bars on, and he's just reading. It sounded like he's reading them out from a piece of paper. It was that like late. I'm like, I couldn't. If New Edition put an album out now, I don't know if I could deal with Ron's doing some raps on it. It's a young man's game, and he's just old manned himself, and it's coming through on this album.
Stevie, you are feisty tonight. That's
all. I'm not holding back, you know what I mean? But then someone tell me if I'm wrong.
Well, I think you're being consistent. I mean, I think that first you criticized Diddy's raps, and I'm like, well, that's pretty much in line with the BBD style, like R&B rap. Like there's R&B rap, and then there's like that hip hop, rap. And I feel like that's what Diddy was doing. And you're basically criticizing both of them. I'm like, okay, then that makes sense. I get it. So maybe R&B rap is not for you. ABC and, you know.
He sounded a lot different on Belle Biv DeVoe than what he sounds on this.
Well, sure. I mean,
there's a lot more energy, but I'm just, like I say, it's a young man's game. And I just felt, I don't know, it was like, just these raps where he mentions, like, why are you mentioning Serena Williams and Donald Trump? It just cringe, really cringe bars. I'm like, oh no, you know what I mean? No.
Oh my God.
Wait, but think about it, no, because when Snoop did, what's the song he did with Charlie Wilson and Justin Timberlake?
Science.
Yes, and he mentioned I'll be at Wimbledon with Serena Williams and Venus. So they were still they were at the top of their game then. So it wasn't uncommon for rappers to people to name drop Venus and Serena back in that early 2000. So so it didn't seem out of place to me because, as I said, Snoop did it when he did Science.
There's another bar where he talks about, he says, and it won't be any heartbreaking at the end. He went and I'm not looking at the front door, and he's trying to bring up a bar up from a Main Source record from about 1992, and I'm like, that Main Source record's a hip hop classic, and you've just like kind of ruined it. You kind of ruined that bar. But maybe I'm just going a bit too, like I say, the rapping on it from Ronnie, it doesn't hold up for me. Really doesn't. I'm sorry.
Okay, but what's your number 9? What did you pick for 9?
Probably had a Ronnie's right. These tend to like 5 are all the kind of filler tracks. So start turning me on. Add a bass line to it. I like the production. Start turning me. I like the track. You know what I mean? It's probably a 6 or 7 out of 10 for me.
Okay.
I didn't really get any cringe moments in it like I did some of the other tracks.
Okay.
So I'll go with that. Start turning.
And guys, if you can also put your top 10, so you start with 10 all the way to number 1. So what about you, Andrew? What's your number 9?
So my number 9 is a song called Best Man. And I liked, again, I'm not really a lyrics person per se, but it's funny on this show, I will use lyrics to justify my choice. And I liked how this song is about basically a guy and a girl, or a man and a woman, and they've been friends for a long time. But he's like, you know what? Like, what if we just did something? Like, we've been together we've been friends for a long time. I'm tired of just chasing all these random girls. Have you ever thought about like us? Like, we're not getting any younger. Like, what do you think? And I think that's a relatable song, and it's actually kind of, what's it called? It's kind of vulnerable because like you're friends with someone and you actually admit that, hey, have you ever thought about like us? Like, that's a very vulnerable place to be. So I respect the bravery of that song. And also totally random, I remember there was a member, and these are all like usernames. So I think it was like Dan Hernandez or something, or a username. I don't know if it's a real name on the forum, who actually said she loved that song. I'll always think of that. What was that noise?
No, he's
playing it. Yeah. So, and then even the way it kind of bounces a little bit, and it's kind of like that, like Ricky and Ralph kind of do their thing. Like, so that's my number 9. It's different. And it was like one of the better, me and you. Even Johnny's on there, and it almost has a computery vibe to it. So
yeah.
Anyhow,
it sounds like I don't think you can, and you.
Bills. A little
Bills.
bit.
Yeah, it had that type of stuff, and that was that 2000. That was those 2000 stuff. I think that's what turned me away from it. It just felt so programmed, and. Maybe if it was a Jagged Edge 112 or Rough Ends and stuff, I would have been like, oh, this is a great track. But I'm listening to it and I'm thinking, but this is New Edition. I just didn't see the correlation. It just didn't seem real. And so I didn't. That's why I didn't put it at all.
It's terrible. How have you left Wildest Dreams out and picked that song? It's terrible.
Because I feel like Wildest Dream sounded
It should
very
be nowhere
childish.
near this album.
No,
Hey,
childish.
Stevie.
Wildest Dream. Like it's a playground song for a guy who's like in his probably late 30s, early 40s at that point. Whereas Best Man is like when you're in your 30s, 40s, you're actually thinking about that. You're thinking about, I'm talking about your future now. Have you ever considered me as a best man for you? Like, I think it's more in line with where New Edition really should be, not I can do your wildest dream, whatever the hell he's talking about. It just sounds like a playground song. It's kind of like Tevin Campbell or something. Anyways, when he was younger.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Terrible.
I'll go to number 8, and this was the number 8 for me was the number 8 was the title track. I think I liked the it says One Love interlude.
Yeah.
And I think this is Johnny in his range. It felt like, okay, this was a little better from Johnny. I don't know the producers on this. But I thought it was definitely a nice track. It reminded me of what's the guy who says about the West Side? Is it T?
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about. TQ.
Yeah, TQ. Yeah, it reminded me of that type of vibe, telling a story kind of thing. So it was
You're really struggling with this album if you put an interlude at what, number 8?
No, it wasn't an interlude though, because
it wasn't. No, it says it's because the One Love interlude. It's actually,
but it wasn't. It wasn't exactly. It was about 2 minutes, so it wasn't like an interlude, but it was like the song.
Ron, Nephew, Feemster, and Big Chuck are the producers. Clearly big names. So they totally showed them the money to get that song on the album. Oh, all right. I think it's Stevie's turn.
Yes, Stevie. What's your number?
I've got the
8?
How many tracks did he have 2 tracks on it, Ryan Leslie, on this album?
Yeah, that was Wildest Dream and Hot
8.
Tonight.
I thought it was a proper production-wise good club banger. That good club banging track, number 8.
It was that Jordan Knight from the New Kids on the Block that co-wrote this.
I think it's Jack Knight.
Jack Knight.
Jack Knight was one of the hitmen.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So the J Knight would be Jack Knight.
Okay.
Let's look at the credits. No, it's yeah, Jack Knight and Jay Jordan. Jeremy, is that Jeremy Jordan?
That'd be funny if it was.
I bet it's Jeremy Jordan, isn't it? I bet it's him. Yeah, Ryan Leslie. Yeah, feeling it. Good club banging track that. Good, you know.
Who's that? That's is that you? NGS4?
That is not me. I don't know who that is. It's probably Jode. What's up, Jode? Yo, Jode. Yeah, if you're free, you just jump in. There's only 3 of us here, so if you want to jump in, you should. And if you want to, I'll send you the link. But that's funny, man.
Who's it?
It's VJ.
Okay.
Yes. It's definitely VJ. All right. So my number 8 is a song that was called "Pass the Bottle" when it was leaked out in 2003. And that song, of course, is not called "Pass the Bottle" on the album. It's called "All on You." So when you hear that, it's like basically the BBD take. And I think Biv even says this is BBD or whatever, like on the track. And then like Ralph's talking about tearing off my shirt, unbuckling my belt, tossing bottles up. Now I got you falling in love. And then on the leaked version, Mike goes alcohol, and then Ron goes marijuana, and they cut it out of the album version. It's them wilding out, and that wilding out, by the way, is another track that was, I think, a Jamin Lewis one that was not put on there. But anyway, they're wilding out on the track. They're going crazy, being total dogs, talking about just smashing groupies on tour, waking up in the morning, not waking her up, getting on the tour bus, even saying that's not my daughter on the camcorder or whatever. Like they're literally just bugging out. But that's number 8. I like the beat on it. But is it New Edition? No, I think
No.
it's the evolution, and it was a bit shameful, to be honest with
Yeah,
you.
it was a BBD track, and I was like, why they do? I mean, this is where the whole Puffy stuff. It's like, look, why are you putting a BBD track on a New Edition album? Because that's not them, and it just. As I said, it would have been a nice song if it was just separate, but for the album and stuff, yeah. Okay. Number 7 for me was another track with Johnny, and it was one of those tracks where who did it? I didn't realize. Wait a minute.
All on You didn't make my top 10 night, I'm afraid.
No, it's fine, man. I knew this was going to be a
It
very.
felt like a filler to me. Just felt
Yeah.
like a filler.
Well, it was leaked. I mean, I know Hot 97 played it, and Puffy. It was that one, and Pass the Bottle. That one, and Start Turning Me On were the two songs that Puffy leaked in 2003 before we got the Hot Tonight single. But yeah.
Yeah, it's. I didn't realize that. So I would say that the number 7 for me was "Come Home with Me," and that was Johnny. I'm just looking. I didn't realize that Jam and Lewis did this track. But
Newness? Oh.
No, "Come Home to Me."
Oh.
Come Home With Me.
Oh, "Come Home with Me." Is that? Let me just make sure.
You're right. No, you're right. I totally didn't even realize I was all these years. I didn't realize I was Jam and Lewis.
Yeah. Miss Savignon, long time. Glad you could join us. Out in France.
Oh, yeah. Good evening, Miss Savignon.
No, I thought it was when you listen to it without reading the credits, you're like, okay, this is Johnny singing in his range, singing, telling this story and everything. So I was definitely so it was so I was like, okay, this is almost like a New Edition type of track. But I just realized now that I thought Jam only did 2 tracks, but now it makes sense that they did this with Johnny. Come home with me.
These years, I never realized that. And what's even better, so you probably remember the Avila brothers or Bobby Ross Avila. They did one of the brothers did the drums and Bobby did the keyboards on that track. And I literally saw, shout out to Bobby if you're watching, because I know that you submitted some songs for one of our other podcasts. I saw him at the last New Edition, what's it called, residency in Vegas. He did like a Facebook Live type thing or something like that. So anyway, props. I didn't even realize after all these years, that song I'll spoil it. That song almost made my top 10, but it didn't. And now I'm reconsidering.
Joseph was asking me, he thought that will rank it higher, and it's number 7, but I think the ones who are a little bit higher, I felt like it was more of the group, so that's why it's a number 7 for me. But it was a nice track. Yes. Hello, Missy. Okay, Stevie, number 7 for you.
Finally, when I wanted, because I felt like, why didn't they let Johnny sing more on this album? We get to a track where they let him sing. It's making all the right sounds, but the song just, it's nice, but it's not a killer. Who's going to come home with me tonight? Who is going to come home like, and it's got Johnny, he's sounding great on it, but it only made my number 7 for that reason. Like I say, it's making all the right slow jam sounds. It's got Johnny singing, but that chorus is just not a killer. You know what I mean? And that's why I like the track. I can listen to it, but that's why it's number 7 and not further up the chart for me. So yeah,
listening to that song is like eating healthy food that doesn't taste very good to me. Like I feel like I have to, it's good for me, but I don't really enjoy eating it. So it's a good song, but it just doesn't do it for me. So
could you imagine
broccoli? No, I like broccoli. What's up?
You stood in a club or a bar and you look at the ladies going, who's going to come home with me tonight? I mean, how cringe is that? Who's going to come home with me? Imagine what would Miss Jane say if she was here tonight?
You're right. All right.
It's a strange lyric, I guess. It is definitely.
Probably Johnny will never talk to me again after this. Now he's another one who'll probably never talk to me. As well as I'm off Cassie's Christmas card list. Another monkey tree brancher while I'm here. Jennifer Lopez, you ain't getting off lightly. You know what I mean? You're another one. Steve.
So,
Mr. Knight, what is your number?
So I was so excited for the New Edition album. I remember when they actually put up a website, right? Like, and this is back when it was Macro Media and Flash and like all the animations. Like, we're kicking it old school here, right? So they had a Macro Media little playlist, right? And they had samples of 5 songs, and the last song on that little sample piece, like as you're waiting for the album to drop, was my number 7, and that song is called "Love Again." Stevie, I loved what you did. Yep. I love what you did with the reel on Instagram, where you had that song playing, as a promo for this show. Because that dent, like it was like I could have seen that song as a single. Now, is it like my favorite song? No. But did it sound different, and did it sound like updated New Edition? Yeah, it did. It actually felt like them, and that's why Love Again is at number 7. Yeah, I'll just leave it at that. It was like on any other album or a better album, it would have been a throwaway. But on this album, because there was so much not good stuff on there, it actually stands out.
I'm getting concerned here because you're like putting all the really, you've already mentioned some really good tracks and some others not even in the. So I'm like, whoa.
Yep, you're gonna be shocked if I never went. I got something for you.
Anyway, what are we on? Number what is it? Number 6 now.
Yeah, number 6. So number 6 for me is Love Again.
Oh, serious?
Yeah, I think you can. We've just spoken about it, but Love Again was number 6. I like the vibe in that one.
Oh, Love Again's an absolute banger. Absolute banger. I'm surprised, guys. Really surprised. But at least it's in the top 10s, though. But that track is a proper banger.
Yeah. What did you put in number 6, Stevie?
I got That's Why I Lied. It's got it's got a very slinky is it like a guitar lick in it, and nice
guitar, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. I like who did that one. Let's have a look. And the old credits here of the booklet. Again, it's one of them.
The co-stars, I didn't know who they were. I mean, that's just like he went.
No, they were doing a lot of stuff back then around the early Tooth. The co-stars, I've seen a lot. Did a lot of pop stuff as well. But yeah, it's just a bit better than Filler, I think. Just a bit better than Filler, but not a killer. Bit better than Filler, but not a killer.
Okay. David had Hot Tonight as number 6. Okay. What about you, Knight?
For number 6, I had this is gonna make y'all laugh. Number 6, I had Been So Long. And the reason why I had Been So Long, Stevie's face. The reason why I had Been So Long that high is because it's a concert track, which is very much in line with That's the Way We're Living.
Hold on a minute, it was a fake. It wasn't live. They had the fake crowd over there. You could clear it's fake.
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, but remember when if you ever remember
they could have done it live, a bit more authentic than if it was actually done it.
If they sang it live, but remember the Blackstreet's Booty Call, they had a live version of it. If you ever, I had the maxi single, and I know they had a sort of a live recording where you could just get the audience screaming out and stuff. But anyway, Andrew.
Yeah. So basically, album opener, right? So Heartbreak opened with a live track. Home Again opened with a live track, and this one did too. So that for me was also in line with the New Edition that I know. And then there's a little part where it goes music is our love. It's in the middle of the song, and the harmonies of that part sound like New Edition. So it was yes, it had that kind of retro, Marvin Gaye 70s, vibe to it. But then again, that music is our love part was literally what did it for me. Like that's what put the song up. It was like they're trying. And it's like even like that's where Ricky says in 2003, it's like they're like we're still here and we're still fighting. And it's been so long, and it has been so long, although 20 years is like anyways. 8 years between Home Again and that album. And for us at that time, that had been a long time. But we can't let you down. It has been so long. So that's why it's my number 6. And yeah, I knew we were in for a ride when you were like, this song's terrible. And that's why it's like number 10.
I didn't say that song was terrible.
Okay.
It just lacks something for me.
Sure.
Compared to the other albums that started off with that similar type of theme, which were much more stronger.
I agree.
It's strange enough for me though. My number, we're at number 5, and actually, I actually had this as number 5. I like Stevie J's use of the drums. I like the drums throughout the track. Been so long, and I like the fact that they. I like Johnny's part when he's almost saying he wasn't straining his voice and he was telling a story, and as you're right, it was similar to how the opening of us all saying our parts, and it could have been a little bit higher for me, but I did like it. I thought. I wondered. There was a part of me I thought actually, if they were releasing a single, I probably wouldn't have been surprised if this had come up, where you could have resurrected them, from crier status, and then they just come and Brooke Payne brings them right on stage, and actually he's credited. Brooke Payne is credited. Is he? No, not. He's credited in the conference call, but Stevie J did the production. And I think Ralph did a verse on this as well. Yeah. I thought that would have been a good opener. That okay, these guys are back, and you get an actual crowd screaming for them after all this time. Think about it, 96 to 2004. That's a good 8 years. That's a big long time not to come up with an album and stuff. Yeah. So Being So Long was my number 5.
Nice,
Stevie.
My number 5 is probably more of a memory. I do remember at the time on a Saturday evenings, my best friend, who was a DJ at the time, he'd always been a DJ. I kind of went to a lot of places he was DJ, and I'd go with him. So, and I do a bit of DJ myself, but I never considered myself a DJ back then. I'd do little warm-up sets or whatever. But we used to travel to this town called Chester in the UK. It's a nice town. If we get to, in the UK, go and visit Chester. It's a really, really nice town. But there was a club there called Roses. And in the 80s, it had a big name for like a big soul night on a Saturday night. But in the 2000s, it was more of a Saturday night, anything goes pop crowd. But it was an R&B night. It was playing R&B, reggaeton, rap. I might come on and play Michael Jackson, Remember the Time, a bit of Rump Shaker just to break things up. But at the time, I did get to hear Hot Tonight. I heard it in a club. I heard what it sounded like in a club because I got the 12-inch. It was a warm-up track. It never made the main set. I don't think my friend ever played it as a main set track, but I heard the track out in a club, and it's I think it sounded a lot better then than what it does now. It is a club track. It's of its time, but again, it's just that memory of actually hearing it on a Saturday night in a club. So my number 5 is Hot Tonight. Nice. It goes back to that nightclub that I was in.
Yeah, I mean, it was played quite a bit, and it's definitely a nice.
In fact, I've got a story for you, Nnamdi. You're always going on about stuff, and I've just remembered a good story to tell you.
Okay.
About that nightclub, and about I can't remember. Do you remember the girl who left Eternal? Was it what was she called?
Is it Redknapp?
Louise Redknapp.
Yeah.
Right. She married a footballer, didn't she?
Yeah, Jamie Redknapp.
right? Going back to that club, Jamie Redknapp was in that club one night. I wasn't there. My best friend wasn't there, but the guy who built the club up, guy called Ray, who did the Soul Night on a Saturday night. Jamie was in there, and he went over and he was like, I think he was asking Ray to play a track, and he kept on, and I think he gave him a load of abuse. And Ray got on the mic. Oh, what did he say now? What did he say? And he said something along the lines of, yeah, Jamie, Jamie. I might be fat. I might be because I might be fat. But every time I can't say this word on you. Every time I'm effing your girlfriend, she bakes me a big effing cake to the crowd. And the crowd went mad. You know what I mean? The crowd went, I believe it all. It all went. So Jamie, the footballer, got his comeuppance in a club one night. Yeah, Jamie. Yeah, I might be fat, but every time I'm effing your girlfriend, she bakes me a big effing cake.
Wow, that's a comeback.
Yeah,
comeback.
That's like when Pac said that's why
you might have to edit that. You might have to edit this bit out of the show, mate. I'm telling you.
Well, this is live, so we can't. I mean, it is what it is. But actually, Nnamdi, was your number 5 been so long?
Yeah, Been So Long was number 5 for me.
All right, Stevie, your number 5 was Hot Tonight, right?
Yeah.
And then Timmy Lee in the comments, his number 5 is Hot Tonight. Mm-hmm. And my number 5 is, and I apologize if this sucks, but people like to hear me sing a little bit. So, and if you say you don't like it my way, we can do it your way. Any way is okay. Because it's gonna be hot tonight. So my number 5 is Hot Tonight. And I'll tell you something, if it was the single version, not the album version, because again, I talked about how on the chorus, that girl, give me your number. Like you hear Ryan on the girl, give me your number. Like it's a little heavier, but like Newness is like, girl, give me your number. It's more of like, it's just better. It would be higher. But anyway, that's my number 5. I've got more for you in store. Don't worry. I got some more Ralph imitations for the podcast. But that was my first one, number 5. So
Dio had that at number 6, and he had Wildest Dreams at number
5. Look
5.
at that, Nnamdi. At number 5 there, you got a story, and you got a singing.
You got to sing.
You got everything you wanted there. You got everything you wanted.
In my number 4, I'm just trying to. I think what I liked about number 4 was the production of this. I like Ralph's singing on this, and I like the chorus. I don't know if any are doing the background vocals, and I think the only Jam and Loose tend to keep them there. But the last time,
wow,
yeah, I just
yeah.
Because Ralph has this very sultry type of, when he's singing, he just seems endless and timeless, and he just seems the same kid that sang "Candy Girl." When he's singing this, So last time, I love the sensitivity of it. It was just it was 2.5 minutes, or 2 minutes and 46 seconds. But yeah, last time was my number. It's my number 4.
All right.
Yes.
Interesting.
That was memorable. He's got a memorable chorus on it.
What did you go for, Stevie?
What we got? Number 4.
Number 4.
Mm-hmm. I had that banger, Love Again, at number 4. I've been playing it all week, not stopped playing it.
Love Again.
I played it on the show today, actually.
Yeah, you did. Okay.
So I played it on the show today, and absolute banger.
Okay, Dio has Been So Long. Okay. What about you, Andrew?
My number 4 is That's Why I Lied. And that one was actually also on that little, the website that we were waiting for the album to drop. That was one of the samples. And also lyrically, man, like I just feel like, I thank God I've never been in that situation. But man, like, you're in a long relationship. It gets kind of stale. You go out to a bar. Then you meet some girl and she's like, lonely heart, let me in. And then you mess up and you get with her. And then now you're terrified that she's gonna call your house and like blow up your marriage and your whole situation. Like it makes me feel something, you know, and it's like, no, like,
That's
you know,
why I
to
lied.
keep my house, to keep my kids, you know, like it's like that's when life gets real. It's not just about like, oh, can he get with me? Who's gonna come home with me tonight? It's like, how do I save my life? You know what I'm saying? Like it's so I just feel like that was one of the there's two real songs that New Edition have made in some capacity. It's that song, and on BBD's Hootie Mac album, it's the situation where it's like, and now you say you have my child and all that. That I was like, whoa, like BBD got like super deep on this one, you know? So there's fantasy and there's real, and I feel like that's why I lied. It was like one of the realest songs they ever did.
Okay, and that's your number 4.
I like your pitch. I like your pitch for that track.
Okay. So we're now going to the top 3, and my number 3. Okay, what's this? Romeo Rod. I love the song "Leave Me" by New Edition. The Army History Month. Okay, I don't know.
That was like the last song of the album.
Okay. Yeah, top 3. So number 3 for me is another one from Jam and Lewis, and it's Newness. And it gave me that vibe of Water Runs Dry, you know, when Boyz II Men kind of when Water Runs Dry. And I see you know, I like the vibe. I wonder why they didn't release this as the first single. You know, you know, because it's Jam and Lewis knew how to capture their voice. Getting Johnny coming in here, there, Ralph singing. I didn't understand why they didn't release this, but Newness was, it was number 3 for me. I know 1 or 2 people. Timmy Lee had a number 4. Come Home With Me was number 3 for Timmy Lee.
It's very warm, melodic, flowing track. Newness, very, you know, it's a good, strong track.
Yeah, yeah. Stevie, he's got a friend there.
The Bridge from Manchester. How you doing, sir? Nice to be joined us this evening. He did a few back in the 90s. He did a few like New Jack hip hop soul tracks. Still does a few bits and bobs here and there. But yeah, one of the few Manchester 90s R&B swing acts from the 90s.
Nice.
So what was number 3 for you, Stevie?
It was, believe it or not, it was in fact there's 2 tracks on this album going back that I've really I've not stopped playing for the last few weeks, just going back to it, and they've just surprised me. And one of them was Love Again, and the other one, number 3, is Wildest Dreams. Song wise, it reminds me. I'll tell you why. Song wise, it just reminds me of New Jack Swing. It's the closest track on here to New Jack. Not product, just the song and the way it's. I thought it's what.
I'll go back. I'll listen to it.
I'm so surprised. You know, it's not even the top 10.
All right. Yeah.
Really. Wildest Dreams. Wow. And I was saying that it just barely snuck in. It just squeezed into at number 10, but you put it really high up at number 3. Well, okay.
Rate that track. Really.
Okay. What about you, Andrew?
I wasn't planning on trying this, but I'm just going to give it a go. And if it sucks, oh well. But I've got better things. I hold you. I go back to the beginning. Remember when we traded our first kisses? Over and over, over and over, over and over. So, of course, that is Newness. At number 3.
You sounded good, man. You sounded good on that one.
Thank you, man. I actually kind of surprised myself. No, but I remember one of my fondest memories actually was like when I would be driving my mom, who's no longer with us, but I remember I was playing that song and she actually was like, "Who is this?" Like I could tell she liked the mature vibe of the song. I got a little like embarrassed when it was like Ron's rap comes on, like I want to turn it down. I like let it go. But man, Newness, man, that to me is the song that did feel the most like it was like that's what the album should have been. Like the majority, it should have been that. And even though there's other songs on there that I'm going to get to that I like by Jam and Lewis, that's the one that was like the upgrade and definitely felt unique to this album. And it wasn't trying to be anything else, just New Edition, Jam and Lewis for 2004. So I loved that song.
I think they could have struck a deal with Jam and Lewis if Puffy, they could have just said, "Look, man, okay, just give us 4 songs. We'll just put 3 others in there and just have a 10-track album. 16 songs and just lots of nonsense in there." Because they know how to, from any heartbreak, they just know how to capture these guys, and
I think Miss Swavion's just said something very controversial. If you want to get that comment up on highlight that comment, Nnamdi. Miss Swavion. New Edition is the only band I can think of whose music is not as good as the members' solo projects. That'd be a good one to debate, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I don't know if I completely agree with that. I definitely think, I think it's worthy debate. I think that certainly the solo acts were more commercially successful. I do. But I think that from a longevity standpoint, I think people come to the concerts for New Edition as a group. But then I think second to that would probably be BBD. But yeah, I think it's a very strong statement to make. And here's what I'll say. I'll just say the spin-offs were amazing. And New Edition is truly a super group. They really are in every way. And I think, Nnamdi, you said in the beginning, only group that every member has hit at least one, has been part of one platinum album. Every member. Yeah. So
I think the Ending Heartbreak album as an album, that is a bit of a classic.
Thank you.
It's a classic alongside Belle Biv DeVoe Poison, alongside Johnny Gill's alongside Don't Be Cruel, and alongside the Sensitivity album. What a run from 88 to 1990 of all them albums.
Hey, don't forget Popcorn Love and Candy Girl.
We're talking about that late 80s, what a albums.
They ran the new Jack Harry.
We're so blessed.
Yeah. I think
we were just the right age to experience all that.
And I think Johnny was probably the most consistent with his albums because he got Jam, Lewis, and Face to handle the production, and definitely. But yes.
But I do like what the point she's trying to make. It makes for a good discussion.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Thank you for your opinion there, Mrs. Swavion. And what we on now? Number 2.
Number 2. Mm-hmm. Okay. I think this was probably probably the first single of the album. They should have made it the first single on the album. And you hear this and you realize that, okay, there are things that, this is not O.J. Simpson, if it don't fit, you must quit situation. This is a situation where these producers know how to produce and write for these 5 guys, even if the Bobby's there or not. Rewrite the Memories. Such a lovely. I mean, this is where we have to give it to Terry Lewis for his lyrics and how he writes, and his ways of writing his love songs. I mean, my favorite Jam and Lewis production is On Bended Knees. To me, that but this I could see elements of Terry writing On Bended Knees when he was doing Rewrite the Memories. So Rewrite the Memories is number 2 for me. Beautiful song, beautiful way of utilizing the vocals of New Edition. Unlike most of what Bad Boy did here, was like just get rid of. That's why I didn't like it, that's why I didn't like Sexy Lady, because they didn't have them singing it. They were just getting other people to do the singing. But Rewrite the Memories was like, this is New Edition. This is how they sound when they get something written for them. So Rewrite the Memories is number 2 for me.
Amen.
Wow, number 2. something's wrong there. Anyway, number 2 for me could have been number 1, but it's you know, it's been outdone because there's only really one truly outstanding track on this album. Truly amazing, just goosebump moment on this album. So number 2 for me is Newness. I thought it was Tim and Bob who produced it first.
It does sound like a Tim and Bob track, yeah.
Like I say, just a nice melodic, flowing, mid-tempo, soulful track. Really nice, you know, and it's better than, you know, it's better than much of the album. So easily. So number 2 is Newness for me.
Does it make sense that they kept the, you know, 2 of the best tracks at the end, and then they had the guts? So then after you listen to Newness, then you have Feeling It and Leaving It. It's almost as if
what was Newness in, what number was Newness in your chart, Nnamdi?
Newness number 3.
And you got Rewrite the Memories at number 1.
Number 2.
My God, I don't know what you've picked for number 1.
Hey.
What have you picked for number 2? I'm worried.
All right. So for Newness, I had it number 3. Number 2, here we go again. If I could just rewrite it, I would just rewrite it. If I could just rewrite it, I'd rewrite our memories. So yes, Rewrite the Memories at number 2 as well. Just like Deo, just like Nnamdi. Sorry to disappoint you, Stevie. Now check this out though. I talked about how Newness was its own thing, whereas Rewrite the Memories had a little bit of Can You Stand the Rain, like the Our Short Stories Last So Long. Had that whole Can You, right? And then my girlfriend at the time, what killed it for her was when at the end he goes, oh, sugar, no.
Yeah. He did.
She was like, what? That ruined the song. She was like,
wow,
why are you trying to be like Sensitivity all over again? Like it killed it for her. She was like, you're trying too hard. So yeah, but I'm okay with it, you know, because whatever. But let me do it one more time. Oh, sugar, no. I love that. I love it. But Rewrite the Memories, like I liked it. And I just and a smooth jazz version with like a sax doing it.
Oh, it'd be amazing.
That would be killer. Yeah. I'm surprised no one's done that yet. So anyway, Rewrite Memories is number 2, which is why when I tell my number 1, I think y'all are going to be like, what is he thinking? But I'll have a pitch for that as well.
Okay. So before we do our number 1, we're going to do go through our top 10. For anyone who's just joining us, Gen X just posted that we sadly lost Angie Stone this morning, coming home from a concert in Alabama. So so she's on our hearts as well. But going for number 10. So number 10 for me was Wildest Dreams. I have no idea how Stevie really placed it so high up. Number 9 was...
no idea why you put it in number 10.
Hot Tonight is number 9. One Love Interlude at number 8. Come Home With Me at number 7. Love Again at number 6. It's Been So Long at number 5. Last Time at number 4. Newness at number 3. Rewrite the Memories at number 2. And I would say that I listened to this song just for this album, for this song. That's why I lied. Wow. I love this song.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love this song. I love how Ralph sings on this. I like the instrumental, the music. It just, I wish I could just see him on a video just talking to this girl, and maybe flashbacks to say, okay, this is when we're younger. Now I'm now married and settled down, and you're coming back, and look, I just love the whole and I can see Ralph smiling as he's singing it. As I said, I just love the whole thing. I love the track. I know as much as Rewrite the Memories is just almost like a perfect record, but when I'm listening to it, I can just listen to this song over and over again. And just to how Ronnie comes in and out of it, but I just love that track. So that's my favorite song on the album. That's why I lied.
You know, I can take that. I can take that from you, Nnamdi, because I thought you was going to pick the dreadful "Leave Me" at the end. But, you know, that's normally what you'd pick, the big candle in the air moment. Go for that, and that's
I felt this was
never made the album.
I felt this was trying. I think they listened to Jam and Lewis and they thought, oh, let's try and give them a ballad. And I just thought it was like, oh, come on. I didn't even put it in my top 10. Yeah. But yeah, no, I love That's Why I Lie. I mean, the first time I heard the album, it stood out to me, and I just keep listening to it. I just felt, yeah, it's an interesting track. It's not just the lyrics, but it's just the production is different and unique and stuff like that. So yeah. I know you. At least you guys all put it in your top 10, not in high enough places, but at least it fit.
It is a decent track. That it is a decent track.
No, I mean, stand out for me, for sure.
Yeah. So,
right. We can't. Yep.
Sorry.
Down, right.
Right. Yes. Number 10. I'd listed last time. Been so long, I can't make my mind up out of them two. Number 9, Start Turning Me On. Number 8, Feeling It. Number 7, Come Home With Me. Number 6, That's Why I Lied at number 6. Number 5, Hot Tonight. Number 4, Love Again. Number 3, Wildest Dreams. Number 2, Newness. Number 1, there's something else I noticed about this track, because Jam and Lewis's producers always kind of, years on, they tend to replay stuff, melodies, chord changes. And if you really listen close, you know, you can hear. And this was one of these tracks that I thought, I feel like I've heard this somewhere before. What is it? It was racking my brains. And then I got it. I remember doing a post on the NGS 34, a big post about this track, and saying if you go back to the Alexander O'Neal album, All True Man, there's a ballad near the end called Sentimental. It's a 6-minute track. Amazing ballad. But Jam and Lewis got hold of this track for New Edition, and they kind of it's in there, it's all replayed in there. But for me, it's the most outstanding track on the album. It gives me goosebumps. I mean, it's Rewrite the Memories. There's no other track for me on this album. It's number 1, bar none. You know, even over the last 2 weeks, right, I deliberately didn't listen to it because I wanted to just listen to it, because I knew it'd be number 1. I just wanted everything else just to make sure. And then finally, I listened to Rewrite the Memories again, and it made me, the way I felt was the way I felt when I first heard it. It still gave me them shivers. It's classic New Edition for me. Yeah. Do go back to the All True Man album and listen to Sentiment. Please do that after the podcast.
So there is a guy, Any Historian, Rob Any Historian, who had interviewed Ralph way back when. I think it was the first one he got an interview that was just not like BET. And I remember Ralph saying there's a song on the album called Short Stories. So originally the song was called Short Stories, just like Pass the Bottle became All on You. So Short Stories became Rewrite the Memories. But Ralph was saying how he was really proud of that song. And he was like, that's some classic New Edition. Y'all get ready for that. I remember that interview.
And it didn't get released.
No. Oh, right. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, no, Stevie, before this show, actually, that would have been my number 1. But as I listened to the album now and just kind of went through like my life and even the music I listen to when I'm walking, this song went like a heat seeker missile from like, okay, really? That's like the first leak to now it's my favorite song. I think it's actually, it's aged for me the best, and it can still hang. So number 10, we've got Feeling It. Number 9, we've got Best Man. Number 8, All on You, Pass the Bottle. Number 7, Love Again. Number 6, Been So Long. Number 5, Hot Tonight. Number 4, That's Why I Lied. Number 3, Newness. Number 2, Rewrite the Memories. And at number 1, drum roll. I've never done this in my life. So you guys if I mess this up, you'll know why. But this is my favorite part of the song because it's just so different. And I couldn't tell if it was Ronnie or Ricky who did this part. So here we go. I'm reading it. Hopefully I don't mess it up. We start touching, kissing, and grinding. Got me open, temperatures rising. I start shaking, moving, and grinding. Don't want you to hold back the climax. Let it go, show me your love, girl. Hold me when it's all said and done, girl. We can do this every time. You start turning me on. Oh, start turning me on. I can hold that. Boom. Stop turning me on. Like, to me, that song has such swagger. The bass line, the whole thing is just a boom, a boom. And I remember like listening to it and going, okay, that is the only song that you cannot mess with. That is New Edition in their bag. Like, this is who we are. This is what we do. We're smooth, we're sultry, and we can outmack all your motherfuckers in this club right now. Like, hide your girls. Hide your girls. New Edition's in the building.
Which one's coming home with me tonight? Which one's coming home with me
like
tonight?
it just had so much swagger, you know? And so for me, like, that's the one that it just doesn't feel like a misstep. It was actually the probably for me the best Bad Boy New Edition fusion. Is it my favorite New Edition song? No. But is it my favorite song on the album? Because it doesn't remind me of like wasted material. Like, I feel like Newness, what a waste that there was no video for it. Rewrite the Memories, what a waste they didn't push that. But Start Turning Me On, I'm okay with that not getting a video or whatever, but it just has a certain, this was New Edition again in their bag. Like, this is who we are and we're dope. So that's why for me, and it also feels the least dated for me. I feel like if you heard that in the club now, yeah, it would feel retro, but people might still move to it because it just has such a relentless beat. So that's my number one.
Great pitch. That's a great pitch, that. And I'm so happy that neither of you picked, honestly, neither of you picked Leave Me. I was really getting worried there that you both picked Leave Me at number one. And I can accept that.
Yeah, no, not Leave Me. And I'm just thinking, what about Sexy? What did you guys think about Sexy Lady?
It's okay.
Sexy Lady.
I like that Ricky got like mad. Like, that was his song, right?
Yeah.
But there was even a song. Okay, so now we gotta so a couple of things really quick. So, and this is like maybe a shameless plug, and I apologize if it's shameless, but whatever. So I just recently relaunched the NJS Free forum, and I'm thinking about making a channel.
Plug it, please.
Yeah, thank you. So I almost want to make a separate channel for like maybe like Halftime Chat or like New Jackson Podcast, something. Because there's some people out there who have not heard these unreleased tracks, and they're old now. I figure I can figure out a way to make audio streams that you guys can listen to them. But there's KIT, there's Got It Like That, and there's Dream Girl. Now, Dream Girl was never really like released, but I think that was a Ryan Leslie track too. And it reminds me of Sexy Lady a bit, but it's just even better. And it's just, you guys need to hear these unreleased tracks. Yes, I absolutely am. No, I love, man, Ezekiel, thank you. That made my day. But anyway, I want to put that in the forum. It's njsforever.com/forum. That's the address. So you guys can hear those songs. So that all started because you had asked about Sexy Lady. So Sexy Lady is a good song for sure. But I think Dream Girl is in that same vein, and it's even better. It's a good, oh man, and they're all on there. So yeah, I can't wait to hear you guys' reactions to those songs, and maybe we could even discuss like on the forum like our reactions to each track. So that's my plan. We'll see if I can pull it off.
Okay. Yeah. No. I thought that was so much overproduced, and it just didn't sound. As I said, I think it's hard to listen to the music and then have the image of New Edition at the same time, because there's 112 and that group of young kids who came out in the 90s and New Edition ahead. And I could, but I don't know, Blackstreet pulled it off, and they were around the same age. Yeah.
But they were always a bit more street, I feel like. I just feel like, you know what I'm saying? And Blackstreet wasn't, like, we didn't grow up with Blackstreet, but we grew up with New Edition. So there is a difference. And they didn't have like a Johnny in the group. And Johnny definitely gave you that older guy kind of vibe. And Blackstreet never had an album called Boys to Men. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm saying? Like, that whole Heartbreak album was about we are grown now. And even though they were, when you look back now, it's so cool. You can look back and go, man, they were kids. Like, you know, when you watch the Heartbreak era, or even like all that, like, I was watching a Bobby Brown concert from Japan, you know, and it's nuts when you just see how the Japanese were absolutely into Bobby in '91. He did Tap Into My Heart. And the way the energy and the way he moved, I don't know how he did it, man. Like, he was a beast in every, like, I don't think people understand. Like, I think, like, that concert, I'll actually post that on the forum too.
Which one? The one in Japan?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, he was just full of so much energy, but he was a kid. I mean, that's what youth does. What youth enables, that stamina.
Did this album miss Bobby Brown?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, and talking of Blackstreet, someone's the Bridge has made a comment. We are going to do a top 10, our top 10 picks from the first Blackstreet album on the next New Jack Swing podcast. I don't know what date that is, Nnamdi. Is it a few weeks away? That?
Yes, Sunday the 16th.
There you go. Nice. Sunday the 16th. Tune in for the Blackstreet review of their first album. Get your top 10s compiled.
But Andrew, just thinking about that, I do wonder, because we had Home Again, if we had this album before Home Again, would we have appreciated it a little bit more? Because I think I'm listening to this and thinking, you guys have just done Home Again. You got producers who understood you. You know, you got, Jermaine Dupri that did 2 tracks. You got you didn't stray too far away, and it felt like a real good album. And I felt that this one was just just hit and miss, grab some stuff, throw 16 tracks out there. Let's see, hopefully it sticks. And I'm listening to this and thinking, but you just did Home Again. And there are tracks I think Bobby could have brought a different vibe to it. And he would have brought a different swagger. But it was, who knows? But
have one last thought? Have they got another album in them?
Hell yes. But make sure it's Jam and Lewis. And make sure it's like, maybe Face as well, or just make sure the album actually is a concept album.
Well, maybe like you say, you just mentioned before, the track Boys to Men. Now that they are men, maybe they can carry that thought, carry that theme on. Now that they are men,
I mean, and whether they are men, or maybe even like making the right exit. And I hate to if Miss J was here, she'd be like, Andrew, why are you being so morbid and sad? But I'm like, while we're all here, let's make sure that we end this on the right note. Like, that's what, because I said last time, endings are beautiful too. I mean that, because at the end you get to reflect on what you've done. And I feel like that's what the album should be about. It should be about just making that perfect, goodbye.
Miss Swabion's asking, have we already done the Blackstreet first album? What we did a top 10 of all the Blackstreets together. So we just selected, like an overall top 10. We didn't concentrate fully on that album.
We tried to incorporate all 4 albums that they came out with. I think
the top 10.
Yeah, but this one is because this one is just that album. VJ saying the album was not as well polished as Home Again. That's
nowhere near.
No, I would say
we've got VJ coming on Wednesday night. We're going live on Wednesday night from 9:30 UK for the intro album. Big album. It's going to be very difficult to select. Go from 10 to 1 on that, because that whole album is just incredible. There's no fillers on that album. Don't remember any fillers on that album. Maybe one, but as a whole album, amazing. I know you two disagree.
That Come Inside song is just terrible. And yes, that complete Come Inside. That's complete sarcasm, by the way. I just want to see the comments blow up. All right.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I'd rather they came out with this album than they didn't release it. Even as much as it wasn't a great album, at least they did come out with stuff. So it's part of their It's part of their catalog. Okay. Um, we just got.
Yo, we got Beej in his house.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. How you doing, man?
I thought I'd join you just at the end, just catch you as you're ending everything. You were talking about intro and Blackstreet, and I thought I'd just say hello. So, hello, guys.
Yeah, so intro is going to be Wednesday at 9:30. So this coming Wednesday, and so it's going to be their debut album, and it's yeah. I mean, for those who don't know, they wrote Real Love and Reminisce um, those were supposed to be on their debut album. They gave it to Mary, and so they Kenny Green. It was just
How am I going to pick a number one from that? I don't know. I'm going to do it.
It's going to be so difficult. I've got some lists in from other people, and there's some very interesting. It's a very interesting album. Very difficult to choose the top songs on that album. But I had an interesting story about how those Mary J. Blige tracks by Kenny Green didn't make it onto the intro album, and I think I'll share that when we talk about it in a few days' time. Yeah. But very interesting. They were very close to being on Intro's album.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah,
interesting.
Definitely. But anyway, guys, yeah. So as we wrap up, we still send our prayers to the family of Angie Stone. Definitely a sad passing of a soul legend, especially coming from a concert, so tragic. And but we also remember Roberta Flack, but she was in her 80s, and she lived a real good life. But please, let's keep celebrating these artists, because it's not when they die that we start to reminisce of them. Then that's part of that's what you do: celebrate the albums, celebrate the music, and give them their flowers right now. I remember interviewing Joyce Sims, and I was so because I remember when she did come into my life, and when I was in high school, that was such a massive track. And to sit and interview her, and then 2 or 3 months later she passes away. It was almost as if which was very sad that I just hadn't even gotten the interview out, and it passes away. But being able to give her flowers and listen to her story, and I think we're losing a lot of these legends now, and I if we can't speak to them, let's celebrate their music while they're still around and appreciate them. But anyway, just do a final reflection on this album before we close. Stevie, what's your final reflection on One Love?
It's just been interesting going back to that album and hearing a few tracks that I'd forgotten about, and coming back to me and thought, yeah, they sound really good now, and others that don't sound so good. But I think it's an album of its time. It sounded better then than it does now, but there's still a few really good moments on it. It's good to go back and have the opportunity to just go through it. Yeah, enjoyed it again.
And Andrew?
So when I look back on some of the way I looked or what I did, the moves I made in 2004, 2005, 2006, I do cringe. And, but then I go back to that time and I ask myself, Andrew, were you trying your very best? Were you giving it your all back then? And I can absolutely say yes. And that's how I feel about this album. I feel like, yes, it's cringe. Yes, it's not up to the level of like what they were. But I do think there was a bit of identity crisis going on. I do think that there was like a lot of conflicting elements. But at the end of the day, it was New Edition trying their best and it just didn't come off. So for me, it just reminds me that like no one's immortal or no one's divine. We're all human and, we're all imperfect. And I think that's what this album is. It's probably the most imperfect album of their catalog, but it's still part of their catalog. And that's why we got to love it.
as Puffy was saying, any living legends.
Yes.
He kept going through this, and Bad Boy Baby.
I'm curious. I know. Beat was never really. I mean, you like New Edition, but not like
I don't like New Edition. I love New Edition.
Did you like this album?
I can't. This album was a mishmash of like just sounds. It just.
Yeah.
When you're by the ocean and the waves are really choppy, and that's what it felt like. It just didn't feel like a serene, nice New Edition, floaty type album. It didn't feel like that. It felt very crashing into the waves and smashing into your face. It was not the one. And I think you guys have been a lot kinder than I would be about this album. There are about 3 songs on there that are worth mentioning, but other than that, no.
Oh, one more thing I'll say.
Just being honest.
What really hurt me was it took so long to make it. Like, we got word that they were working together in 2002. It was supposed to drop in 2003. Then it drops in November of 2004, and this is what we got. Are you serious right now? Like, the Justified album by Justin Timberlake was done, I want to say, in like 3 months. He already got off tour with NSYNC in 2002, and I think it was done like I think May of 2002, right? May, and then record the album, and then by September of 2002, he's performing on the MTV VMAs, dropping "Like I Love You." Like, to me, it doesn't take that long to come up with good music. Stop the madness. So I just had to. That was one last one.
You could say, at least, considering how many years we spent on the forum debating whether there's going to be a new Guy album that year or a Blackstreet, which never happened. At least we got this album. At least
That is a very good point. And that is why, as bad as this album may be, I'm still glad that it was made, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's it. Exactly what you said, Stevie. Get out of my head, man. That's exactly what I wanted to say. Yeah, that's it.
I just realized that Stop Turning Me On was, it sounded like Crimea River.
Huh. Never looked at it that way, but it kind of has a very similar, like the...
I'll tell you what, I wonder if we'll ever get to the fourth Jodeci album.
Like that's Did you say it before she
said
wrote
that at the exact same time?
Yeah, you said it at the same time. I
album.
wondered if you saw what she wrote, and you just said it yourself.
That would be an interesting one to review. That would be an interesting one to review.
I've never seen so many copies in HMV like on sale for $2.99.
For how much is it? $1.99.
Like the whole batch. $2.99. The whole batch, the whole lot just went in the sales.
Did they have a fourth album?
Yes, 2015.
Oh, I just thought they just had the single, and it was the greatest hits.
It dropped.
Oh no! See, you don't even remember that sound, how much it bombed.
It was on. I think I downloaded. Is it SoundCloud or one of those apps for it, and I listened to it, and it was just like, man. Even I think Timbaland even has a track on there, and it's.
He's on it quite a bit. He's on it quite a bit.
Okay.
And,
but yeah, it was
CVJ's on it, which is interesting as well.
I think Dalvin was saying that they got their vocals and they just got people to polish it up. The label put it together. It wasn't something that they all went in the studio because Dalvin would have, Devontae would have done it. The way they said it is that he put out the one or two. They did 1 or 2 tracks, and then they just weren't feeling it, and then the label just took some of their old stuff to complete it.
Did you guys hear the last Portrait album, Afro Trees?
Yeah.
Afro Trees was recorded around 2007, so it was recorded a long time ago. So that came out 3-4 years ago, whenever it was. And those albums that were recorded back in the day and then they come out, sometimes they turn out really well. Like Portraits Afro Trees is a stunning album. Whereas Jodeci's, there's every moment is stunning. Oh my God, it's as good as any Jodeci track ever made. That's how good every moment is. But the rest of the album...
And after that, it's a big.
Dwayne just said, it was. I think Dwayne just said, because I think what Dalvin was saying in an interview, maybe when it was that it was old tracks that the label had the masters, and they gave it to these producers, Stevie J and stuff, to polish it off. It was like, almost like a greatest hits kind of stuff, but they didn't. It wasn't them. So that's these were tracks that they wanted to use. So that's where these guys, because Devontae would have put his name all over it, but they just did that one. I think they tricked them. They said they wanted to do a greatest hits, and just bring out one song, and they went and got some of their old stuff.
So check this out.
Before it burned down. Yeah, go ahead.
There is a song called "Loving You" by Michael Jackson, and I know that was one of those songs where, like, I think a lot of the Michael Jackson stuff, I love that you pointed. So a lot of that stuff, it's like they would take the old stuff, but I actually prefer the newer version than the original, for me personally. So it's like it can be done. And DJ, you were saying it too. You can take the old music and do it right, and update it. There's a couple others I can find.
But I know "Loving You." Which one? Because that's which.
It kind of goes like, oh my God, like loving you. That's what I want to do. Like that.
Okay, that's not the.
Anyways, yeah.
Okay. No, I didn't know. Okay.
But yeah. Anyhow, even Chicago, that's an older one, and that one, like when you hear the updated version, it actually kind of kicks for me, anyways.
I agree. I think some of those newer versions of that particular album were stunning, and "Love Never Felt So Good."
Yes,
it felt like such a complete song. I mean, and that felt like it was as good as any Michael Jackson song ever made. It was so brilliant, and I listened to that a lot. And I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah. Okay. All right, guys. Well, I thought it was going to be a tough one. Alan I missed everything. I thought this was going to be a tough one. It wasn't as bad as Blood on the Dance Floor.
I missed that. How was it?
Yeah, it was tough. Even Miss J just messaged me. She had a family emergency, and that's why she wasn't able to join in. So she sent us her apology. But yeah, Blood and Dance was a tough one. This had some good tracks, but No Edition can do no wrong in my eyes. So definitely enjoyed this. So for everyone, tune in on Wednesday intro. On the 16th for
can't wait. It's gonna be so good. Intro, what an album.
Yeah. And on the 16th for the Blackstreet album, the debut album, with Joy and Before I Let You Go, Booty Call, Physical Thing, and Tonight's the Night, and Happy Home. Actually, I just realized how much I like that album. So we'll see you guys. We always appreciate you joining in. I'll appreciate the fact that you put in your top 10 as well, and we'll catch you